My name is Monica Yatuma, and I'm with the Great Education Initiative, who frequently partners with Wlcpr, Wild Lake Parents for Parental Rights. And tonight we're combining with Marion because we happen to have a meeting scheduled both this week, so we decided to combine efforts since a lot of the issues, the advocacy issues that we care about are very much aligned. So with Veterans Day being tomorrow, I wanted to wish everybody a happy Veterans Day. Do we have any veterans in the room?
Yes.
Yes, can you stand, please? Thank you for your service. Thank you. All right, so the purpose of this town hall is to bring the community together to discuss important topics that affect the well-being of children and families in and around the Walled Lake Consolidated School District. So this town hall is co-hosted by Marion Lakes Area Tea Party and the Walled Lake Citizens for Parental Rights. So Wlcpr is made up of local parents and citizens seeking to build a positive, constructive alliance with Walled Lake schools in order to foster a safe, transparent learning environment that allows our students to exercise their freedoms and their liberties. By engaging in positive, informed dialogue with the school district, the teachers, and other parents, we can drive the change we want to see and ensure a better learning environment for our children now and in the future.
There you go.
Lakes Area Tea Party has been a great friend and supporter of Wlcpr, and Marion knew that the speakers we were having tonight would be of interest to the Lakes members too. And since Lakes usually has their meeting this week, we decided to combine efforts. So thank you to Marion and to Lakes for co-hosting this event. I also want to thank the wonderful wait staff here. I don't know where they went. Yeah, huge thank you to them. Did I miss anybody? No? Okay.
Michelle's back there.
Okay. And thank you to our wonderful helpers checking everybody in. You guys are fantastic. Did I miss anybody? No? We're good? Okay. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Monica Yatuma. So I was the parent during COVID that filed a mask mandate lawsuit to have it dropped here in Oakland County. And then subsequently the rest of the counties followed. And that's really how I got my start in this movement, because from there I thought I was done, but unfortunately in 2022, as you guys all know, the Democrats took a blue sweep. And so that's when I realized that our schools and our kids would all end up being under attack, and they were. And so we took the attorneys from the lawsuit and we started the Great Education Initiative, and we created a sex ed opt-out form to help parents fight back on the rogue sex ed, but also the DEI and the CRT. But we also got involved in helping parents win their local school board races, because I realized there was a gap within the state party and that they were not helping with the school board races. So I went out, raised some money, and we provided the necessary training and support that these parents needed to run these local school board races. We realized that having the C3 and filing lawsuits was great, but it wasn't enough, and that we really needed to get politically charged. And so we launched a sister organization, Great Education Action, to be able to get politically charged. So we went out and raised more money, so I raised about $1 million in a year. And with that money, we were able to hire door knockers and phone bankers, and we were able to do voter education across the state, and we were able to do a lot of voter registration. And this was all to support the efforts of Wlcpr, to support the efforts of the C3, so that we could get conservative candidates elected up and down the ballot. We knew we had to get the vote out. So I think a lot of you already know that I'm Chaldean and my community is very conservative, but it's super low voter turnout, so it was sitting at about 32%. And because of the work that we were able to do, we were able to increase that voter turnout during the 24 election from 32% to 74%.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. So we were able to help Trump and Macomb, we were able to help Republicans take back the state house, and we were able to do all these great things. And so we continue to do them because, as you guys all know, the fight for our kids, it's just not ending, right? They keep doubling down on stuff, and so that's why we continue to fight. But also, during this journey, I realized another big problem that was contributing to a lot of this was our elections, right? We're having an issue, I wouldn't say an issue, but our election integrity has been weakened throughout this process, and I've learned a lot thanks to Marion. We've been involved in some lawsuits together and some different initiatives. And so being able to learn that aspect of things also kind of charged me up, and so now I'm in the running as a candidate for Secretary of State as well.
All right.
Okay, we have a lot of really great speakers for you tonight. Our first one is Matt Wilk, and I'll tell you a little bit about Matt, but first I'm being told that I should ask you guys to please help support the Walled Lake Citizens for Parental Rights. by giving a generous one-time donation or giving a monthly donation. As Charlie Kirk so clearly understood, we need to get to the next generation to protect them by instilling critical thinking skills. And this is something, as we all know, our education system is opposed to. But we can change that by supporting organizations like Wlcpr and working to educate parents and students. All right, on to Matthew Wilk, our first speaker, and he's right there for anybody who doesn't know who he is. So Matthew Wilk is the president of Get Kids Back to School, a Michigan-based 501c4 social welfare organization founded in the aftermath of the destruction of education by pandemic zealots. GKBTS works to support policies and identify candidates who will better education for all students in Michigan. Mr. Wilk is a former school board president in Northville Public Schools, having served for 8.5 years, winning 2 elections in the process, and Mr. Wilk has been an attorney for the past 25 years after having graduated from the University of Michigan Law School. Wow, Matt, that's impressive. He's sat on various boards and committees over the past 15 years, including the Northville Township Planning Commission, the Downtown Development Authority, the Senior Advisory Commission, and the Parks and Recreation Department. He's the proud father of 18-year-old twins in Northville, Michigan. So that's Matt's bio, and then I want to add a little something, because I'm a precinct delegate as well, and Matt is too. And so I've gotten to know Matt and watch Matt, and I can tell you guys, in this movement and in everything that we're doing, it's really hard to find other people that are competent, that are highly intellectual, and that are willing to work hard, and that are really passionate and care, especially about this initiative and education with the kids. And I've gotten to know Matt over the years, and Matt is one of those people. And so Wlcpr, GEI, all these organizations, we can't do it by ourselves. And so it's really nice to have people like Matt and organizations like his, and I'm really excited that he's here tonight, so let's give him a huge round of applause.
As a child of 2 teachers, I find education to be a part of my passion growing up, and it's part of my DNA. So I was on the school board, and in the year 2020, the left-wing mob came after me. So I was advocating for getting schools open with such crazy arguments like, hey, we're doing it in Indiana, why can't we do it here? And that was not what they wanted to hear. You remember that time where this was something that people were doing? They were attacking whoever would speak out against things. They came after me, it didn't work. Finished out my term, founded Get Kids Back to School to help get issue awareness is my primary goal, and then we're working on campaigns for school board candidates. I think I've won 57 over the past 2 cycles. So, but the left doesn't quit. The left does not quit. They never give up on this. This is their bread and butter. So what I was asked to come to talk about today is something that is very hot topic for everybody. It is statewide health standards. Okay. So the way it works is, if you're a school district and you want to teach a subject, and the state says, well, if you're going to teach this subject, this is what you kind of got to talk about, right? And they ask to have their curriculum approved by the state, okay? So about, I don't know, like 60 days ago, we started getting word. We have 2 Republicans on the state school board. They were elected in 2016 and re-elected in 2024. Tom McMillan and Nikki Snyder, they are awesome people, And they sit on a board and have sat on a board that has been 6 Democrats and 2 Republicans. Every year they've been there. And they yell into the wind about this stuff. Well, what we're starting to do as conservatives and as parents and as people who are concerned, we are starting to give them support. So we got word that they are going to amend the school health standards. Okay. Well, they haven't been amended in many, many years. Great, awesome. We're going to take another look at them. Well, what we added to these was a bunch of stuff that has no business in schools, period, but certainly has no business in health. Like, we'll talk about gender identity. We'll talk about sexual orientation in health curriculum. So, but in order to tell the story, I got to ask a question first. How many people have heard about the Supreme Court case called Mahmoud? Okay, I got a few Mahmouds, all right? So, last year, and God bless Donald Trump for making his appointments to the Supreme Court. And let me tell you why. So, this case was in Maryland. It involved a school district that had put into the 3rd grade curriculum, and it turns out all of their elementary schools. LGBTQ stuff for a whole week. Parents who represented, interestingly, Orthodox Jews, Ukrainian Christians, and Muslims said, hey, we'd like to opt our children out of this stuff. We don't want them taught this stuff at school. The school district initially said, sure, okay. And then they had to backpedal because the left, indivisible, and all these groups, you can't do that. And they said, no, there'll be no opt-out. They sued and went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, if what you're teaching violates a parent's sincerely held religious beliefs, the parents under the First Amendment have the right to opt their children out of that material. Okay? It's a right that's always existed, but we made it very, very clear. And importantly, they threw away a lot of arguments that the left still tries to use today. It was the first case that anyone can remember in Supreme Court history that featured color pictures. The justices found it was so important to show the books, to explain what was going on, that they put pictures of the covers. These are things that are targeted for little kids. Okay? Puppy pride, where the puppy gets lost in the pride parade. What? It is as bad as you think and worse. Okay? And it disgusted the justices so much that they didn't just find this right, they laid out how parents exercise this right. Okay? And one of them is the right to opt out, as Monica mentioned. Okay? So you as a parent or a guardian have the right to say, my kids are not learning this at school. They rejected several arguments. One of them is, we're not teaching them this. The books are just on the bookshelf. Scalia, nope. Or Alito, nope. They're not teaching them this. They're just exposing them to it. And importantly, the court said, no, you're not. Look at the books. The books make it very clear that the author's opinion, these are positive things. And they went on to say, well, really, we're just reading the books to them. We're not really teaching them. And they found the supplemental teaching materials. Have your kids go through Puppy Pride. Puppy Pride is for kindergartners. Kids who are 5 years old. And have them find who's wearing leather chaps. So, disgusted the Supreme Court so much. And now parents have this right that they always had, but now they really have it. Okay, so fast forward to the state of Michigan. What are they doing? They are trying to move, or we're trying, we'll get to that in a second. We have news, breaking news that you're going to hear for the first time at this meeting. Okay? So, the original version said, in the health curriculum, we're going to talk about all that garbage. Because, in the state of Michigan, health classes are mandatory. It's part of what's called the MMC, Michigan Merit Curriculum. If you want to graduate, you need a certain amount of English, science, math, social studies, and you need health. So they were going to move this from something parents could opt out of into something they can't opt out of. Okay? But what happened? So this was September 13th, I think, or maybe, or October. I can't remember which they were there, September. And a bunch of people decided, you know what? I'm going to give the State Board of Education a piece of my mind. I was among them. And we had a nice crowd. And you can't even you have to get walked into the building and whatever. And we had a nice crowd to come out and say, no, stop it, no more. And you're cheering. I hope you know. I don't know if you know the answer. There. Oh, you were there. Okay, great, awesome. Yep. Okay. I remember I'm seeing a lot of people there. Well, turns out yesterday they released the amended version, and the amended version gave conservatives and parents like us a half victory. They took it back out of health. They put it into a separate sex ed thing. Okay. But that's a crack. So remember, whoever was there, They put their plants in, there were 3 or 4 people, and what one of these guys said was, I, taught this, whatever, and if parents aren't teaching this at home, it's our obligation to tell them. No. And no one, because you're not your kids, right? What's the saying? We don't co-parent with the government, right? And they believe this in their heart of hearts, okay? So we are still fighting this, but for a different set of reasons, okay? Number one, how many people are aware of what a district has to do to teach sex ed in this state? I know, Cheryl, you know, because you're a part of it, right? So, sex ed is the one part of our curriculum that is not mandatory. A district may choose to teach it or not. If they do choose to teach it, there are very strict guardrails, okay? The guardrails include you must have what's called a sex ed advisory board, right? And that board must be made up 50% of parents. And I think you still have to have at least one clergy member on that, okay? And there are things you can and cannot do. You cannot have a section about abortion, for example. You must offer parents the option to have abstinence-only sex ed. So they have an option. You must allow the parents to review the material in advance. I used to sit on my school board. We had 2 women come in and they said, we'd like to take a look, please. We said, of course. They said, well, our daughters are in the 4th grade, but they're young for their age and they're immature for their age. And one goes, look, she still believes in Santa Claus. And we said, it was a DVD at the time, here's the DVD. And she went through it and said, can we skip chapter 5? And I said, you can skip as much as you want. And that's the way it should be. Parents run the show. Okay, so what's the story about what we're going to do now? We're still fighting this because for the first time in Michigan state history, the history of the state of Michigan, we are now going to have a set of standards or guidelines for sex ed teaching. It has never existed. Why are we doing this now? Because we want to include, not we, they want to include all this junk. Right? They want the kid to sit down and be told, well, gender is fluid. Right? Parents disagree. And I'll get to my broader objection. Okay, my broader objection, which I raised at the State Board of Education, and they summarily ignored me, is this: school day is fixed. Okay, you have a fixed size of a school day. Kids start at a time and they end at a time. If you add junk to that school day, something else has to come out because they're not staying longer. So we had a situation in, I think it was the year 2019. And we had a kid, and he made what is perceived as a homophobic comment in school. And the the principal for the middle school said, we pulled the whole class, and we spent the whole day talking about this, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, hey, Bill, I got a question for you. How are those kids making up that day of work? Because they were supposed to be taught that day. And I understand this is very important to you, but they've missed a day of education. And his answer was, there are 50 states in the United States. We are consistently in the bottom 10. 42, 44, 47. How do we get education better? Well, the first thing we have to do is stop putting more stuff on these teachers to teach that, frankly, they don't want to teach. Okay? Here is the guidelines. It is now 75 pages. And you can see they're such idiots. Michigan Health Education Standards Guidelines? Because they added another word. Because their whole comment to the rest of the board was, well, these aren't standards, they're guidelines. So literally, this is the second version, and the first version said standards, and they added the word guidelines to the front, as if it's somehow a distraction. So what we are advising everybody to do is get active on this one. CTV, Eileen McNeil, and I are speaking tomorrow on this issue. She handed out a flyer that everyone should have. There are email addresses for the incoming superintendent and the interim superintendent. Okay? Definitely email those people. Okay? Have them, tell them what you're thinking on this issue. Because those things will, if you happen to have the time, on the 13th, that's Thursday. I unfortunately cannot be there. I have a conflict. But if you can make it to Lansing, go to the State Board of Education building, put your name in, make public comment. Nikki and Tom have been champs in making sure that everybody gets to speak. They don't like it. The last time, in the last meeting, if you were listening, they got through however many speakers, and two of the Dems on the board said, well, we're done, aren't we here? We got 50 people online waiting to make comment, and we got more people in the crowd, and they're like, we're done here. And their answer, their excuse was, well, we have a board member who has to leave. Oh, God forbid you have to stay a little longer to hear from the people who elected you to this position. So on that issue, I want to say, I think we're going to make progress. Because I think the general person in the crowd, it's an 85-15 issue. Is anyone aware of what's going on, like, for example, in Skyline High School? Skyline High School? Ann Arbor thing. Okay, so Skyline High School has a very good volleyball team. They always have. They at one time had Veda Murray's two daughters. Okay, Veda Murray, former Michigan defensive back. The daughters both played Division I volleyball. This year, they have an even bigger advantage. What advantage do they have this year? They have a boy. They have a boy with gender dysphoria. You'll never hear me use the term transgender. It is boys with gender dysphoria or girls with gender dysphoria. They have a boy with gender dysphoria playing volleyball. They are going to the district finals. I think it's tomorrow or the next day. And the best part is, MHSAA is supposed to provide a waiver. Like, you can ask them, can this boy who is with gender dysphoria can play in the girls' sport? And MHSAA, when this issue came out last year, said, there are only 2 waivers that have been sought in the whole state. Which, I'm in Northville, I said, well, that's interesting, because Northville's got 1. We have a rower. So unless the entire other state has only 1 person, this isn't true. Well, it turns out the city of Ann Arbor Public Schools, didn't seek a waiver. They bought into the ideology that when the person, this boy, snapped his fingers, listened to some Shania Twain, Man, I Feel Like a Woman, and he's a woman. And we don't have to ask for a waiver. And shame on all of you. And now this has made national news. And because it is such a silly position, I can't believe I have to explain, parents are the ones that direct education. Okay? It has been the law in the state of Michigan for many, many years. MCL 380.10. And no one follows it. They act as if they're in control of your child. And they constantly have to be slapped down and say, no, you can't do that. Another great example, same topic, Rockford Public Schools. Anybody? Rockford, the Meade family. Again, Cheryl, you talk about these things. Cheryl Picard sits on the Plymouth Canton School Board. So Rockford, a family has a girl, and she's really struggling in school, and she's having a lot of issues. And the school is working very hard with the counselors at school, with the school. They're working collectively, and they get an email home, and it says, you know, blah, 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 and we were talking to Fred, and blah, blah, blah. Fred? Who's Fred? Fred was your daughter. The district had, without the consent of the parents, changed the name and the sex and hid it from the parents. So they just won, thankfully, summary judgment. So they overcame summary judgment. The court said, given all the facts, there's clearly a claim here. I don't know what they're going to end up doing. I guess they'll probably end up settling the case. But that's no benefit to the parents. The parents are still the ones who had to endure this and wake up that one day you had this child's figures in their life, teachers, counselors, social workers, all saying, it's okay. It's okay that you're really not a girl on the inside. You're a boy. And it's disgusting. I have the parent of two kids, a boy and a girl, twins. They are very different people. You know, it just disgusts me to all ends. So those are the latest things. I don't want to take up too much time. I don't know how I'm doing on time. Guys, I can go for hours on this. What I'd be happy to do is, while I'm here, does anyone have questions about school, stuff like this, that they'd love to have answered? I'm happy to spend a few minutes just doing that. Go ahead, sir.
So people want to write letters. We're not experts on this subject like you. Do you have some, if you will, pro forma letters that we could sit there and steal from, if you will, to send out?
I can probably get you some talking points. I know we've got some. The CTV has got some for sure, because we'd love to share them. But I mean, what they like to hear is they like to hear, like, from you, from your heart. When we had some people come up, they were pretty passionate. You know, volume was maybe a little too high, but whatever, right? So, but they were pretty passionate, and that's what they need to hear. They need to hear. Well, Pamela Pugh, who is the president of the school board of education, she is running for the 35th state senate seat. This is the same woman who, by the way, paid herself $10,000 from her campaign funds for hair and makeup. Yeah, and she sits there and she's disgusting, and then she's going to take this and she's going to run and go to another office. Anyway, sorry, that's that side thing.
So is it going to be able to play tomorrow? Like you said, they're playing.
Unless something happens.
Could you repeat the question?
So she's wondering about the skyline, whether the young man, the boy with gender dysphoria, is going to be allowed to play in the girls' district final, and the answer is, unless something happens, yes. It's made national news. It's on Outkick. Outkick talks about this all the time, and now it's made national news. They sent a reporter there, and the principal followed him around, like harassing him, because it's Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor is one of 13 districts in the state that has an overt policy that says if a child snaps their fingers and tries to change their gender, then that so it shall be so. We haven't filed one against them, but others. Sorry, ma'am, go ahead.
You mentioned law in 17.10. Is that a law that basically says that the parents have control over their children?
Correct, it does. 380.10. It's been around for 50 plus years, and it says the fundamental rights fall to the parents.
Okay.
Okay, let me give you a little thing. If you are a parent, or you are talking to a parent, and you are curious or wondering, step number one, please do this. Send them an email or a letter asking for the curriculum. In the Supreme Court case, they made it very clear. You cannot hide that. We're going to be talking about this issue with some people in a district in Wayne County where they're trying to hide it, and it's not going to work. The Supreme Court was very clear. Second thing, please concentrate on English. It's not, most of this stuff is not in sex ed, it's in English. They've rolled out every classical book that you and I read, and they've inserted garbage, hot garbage. If you are on a phone that you're comfortable doing the search on, the best book, as an example, is called Genderqueer. And it is, and beyond being disgusting, it's a picture book. How are you teaching your kids in English class with picture books? So it's disgusting, it's awful. It was referenced in the Supreme Court case. They got the Supreme Court's attention. And so first step, please, contact your district and say, tell me what my kids are learning. Because you might find other stuff too. You might say, hey, this is what happened in COVID. This is why post-COVID, my district lost 400 kids. We backslid 10 years. Because you know what happened? Parents started seeing Zoom classes. And they said, what are you doing? I went to my kids one day and I said, how many movies do you guys watch a year? And they're like, a lot, Dad. And once parents found out, you know what they did? They pulled their kids. And I'll tell you what, about that issue, that is not a right-left issue. That is an across-the-board issue. Because parents are not going to take the risk with their kids. You have one chance to have the 7th grade. My kids lost their 7th grade for COVID. And I said, you have one chance. I remember my 7th grade. I remember what an idiot I was in 7th grade. We tell jokes all the time with my friends online. My kids, you know what they remember about 7th grade? Sitting in a room with 15 people all day long. The same 15 people with teachers walking in with masks on. That's what they're going to remember. So that's a great question. But yes, start with the opt-out, or opt out with asking what's going on. Yes, sir.
Given the fact that not only the best way to aggravate a parent is to mess with their kid, why are they doing this?
I will tell you, they have bought into that ideology deep in their hearts. They really do feel, if you'll listen to them, you listen to these people, they will tell you they know better than you do. If you don't teach it, it's up to me to teach it. They know better than you across the board. And you have to literally rip your child out of the lion's mouth. Or you go in and you lay the law down. And that's what I want parents to do today. I would love to sit in on a meeting with you and your superintendent where you lay the law down and say, every book, paper, piece of material, everything my kids are going to list, I want to know what it is. And I have the right to say no. And because it's not limited to sex, anything that violates your sincerely held religious beliefs. Any more questions? Cheryl, go ahead.
I just want to say, also look on the State of Michigan State Board, because one of their whole approaches is whole school, whole child, whole community, and all that is learning and health. They're collaborating for learning and health. So they've added, that's where a lot of the health comes in. I don't know if all this stuff.
Right.
And one of the things on their health thing, it says, we welcome parents to partner. And it's like, you're welcoming parents to partner. So I just wanted you, their attitude is,
Yeah, the answer to that question is they really believe it. They believe they know better than you
they
do.
think they
Right.
learn.
People aren't paying attention.
Right. Right, and they've gotten away with it. I said, go ahead, ma'am.
Does it have to be a sincerely held religious belief? What if you just believe as a parent that your kid's not ready for that stuff?
Wow, that's a great question. So, Troon, which is the largest, it's about whether, does it have to be necessarily a sincerely held religious belief? And what Troon said, or Troon or Neola, one of them was writing a policy. They're the largest policy writers in the state of Michigan. What they said was, don't question it. If a parent asserts a privilege of belief, you should not question it because it's going to get you in big trouble. And those are pretty left-wing groups to do that. I would like to get to Dr. Guasuito. He's got some interesting things to say as well. So I thank you for your time. Thanks for having, one more thing. Go ahead. Thank you. One more thing. My other job is I am the president of the Northville Republicans Club. Patty Pozios is the president of the Plymouth Canton Republicans Club. If you are in the area, we are hosting a dinner on December the 3rd. We're going to leave some flyers up front. It's $40 for non-members, $10 if you become a member. Dinner, drinks, whatever. We're going to have maybe have some politicians come speak, talk about we're very locally focused, like your organization is. So we'd love to have you join us. Well, thank you again for your time. Appreciate it.
We want you guys to have these email addresses in the bottom left corner. That's who you want to email to leave your comments to. And share it too so people know, because a lot of people are wondering who they should email. So Lisa's actually going to speak next. Lisa's awesome, by the way. So she was elected to the Walled Lake School Board of Education in November of 2024. She's a lifelong resident of the district, and Mrs. West and her husband chose to settle in Walled Lake so that their 3 children would receive a quality education within the Walled Lake Consolidated School District. She's currently a preschool teacher, but has experience teaching at the elementary, middle school, and high school levels, as well as in special education for the past 20 plus years. She has a Bachelor's of Science from Eastern Michigan University, and she enjoys volunteering in her community, having helped organize Disability Awareness Week at Glengarry Elementary. She has also been an advocate supporter of Walled Lake Northern's Music Boosters and has been a band rep for many years, and has been an awesome and a fierce advocate for us on the Walled Lake School Board. Everybody say hello to Lisa.
So thank you so much for having me. I am Lisa West. I was fortunately elected to Walled Lake School Board in 2024. So I am just coming up on my 1-year term, my first year of my term. I have 3 more years left. I am the only conservative on our school board. So I get a lot of flack about what my thoughts are and how we should run things. So I usually, for Willing Citizens for Parental Rights. I usually give an update about what's going on in our schools. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot to update. I think Matt kind of stole my thunder here. It's okay. So one thing I'm fiercely fighting for right now is with our State Board of Education and their changes to our health program. I really have been fighting for this against it actually, because I don't want gender identity taught in our schools. I can't control what happens to people's families, what their own thoughts and beliefs are, but I think that we need to make sure that this does not go out into our education system. Something that is not factually based, it's not science-backed. Our children, their brains don't even form until their mid-20s. And so it doesn't make any sense to add this into a curriculum when they have no idea who they are. Puberty is tough enough as it is. And so I actually made the speech last Thursday saying the same things at our school board meeting. And I've caught a lot of flack from it, but I've had a lot of support as well, which is really awesome. So there are a lot of people out here that are behind the scenes and think like you and I do. So one thing I have to say is just keep emailing our Board of Education at the state level. Let them know you do not want this in there, okay? We need to protect our children. They deserve to have a whole, full mind body set that they are who they were made to be. From what I understood that Mrs. Pritchett and Mrs. Tilley may have the possible, if we really need to pray for them and email them, because they may have the opportunity to be the swing votes for this vote on Thursday. So please really reach out to them respectfully and really try to get them to change their vote. I heard from Tom McMillan, and he said that Mrs. Tilley is actually a Christian, so hopefully that will be the basis to really swing her vote to say no. Our health standards do need to be updated. We need to include vaping in it, and that so kids understand that the harms that this does. Things about cyberbullying. So things actually do need to be updated in the health standards, but we don't need to include gender identity. There's not a lot else going on in the Wall Lake schools that I have an update for. I know we do have students of the opposite gender going into bathrooms and using them.
It's that one there.
They leave it, I've asked questions about it, they leave it up to the district administrator, and they cite the Elliott-Larsen Act that it's discriminatory if we say no. So that's an uphill battle that I have, but there's not much I can do right now as long as it's just me on the board, because other people on our board feel that it's right. So, any questions?
Has there been any problems in the schools with the bathrooms? Any?
I had a mom reach out to me just last week about it, and so I knew about it probably February-ish. I've heard I have 3 kids of my own. 2 are in high school. One just graduated, one's in high school right now, and they told me that there's kids who use the bathroom that are not of their own biological gender. But when I asked about it, they just keep citing this. There's not. I ask questions. They are not transparent even to school to the school families. Even just saying, hey, we have somebody using the wrong, the opposite bathroom of what they, were born as, but we can't get anything out of them. So I keep trying. Any other questions right now? I apologize. There's not a lot right now. Yes.
What do you feel is the most effective? I am happy that you mentioned Pritchett and Tilley.
Yes.
In case people can't email everybody, that they would start with them.
I would say, yeah, because Nikki Snyder and Tom McMillan are definitely going to be voting no. I know that. They have said so. They are vehemently opposed to this and really fighting hard across the state to make sure people are aware of what's going on. But yeah, Mrs. Pritchard and Mrs. Tilley, they are, I would say, email them and just really, fact-based. Don't say I believe, but use those facts that, we are born as one gender, and we really need, If you are faith-based, use your faith. And it's not just, Christians, but it's Jews, Muslims. We need to all join together here and recognize that this is something that's not just one faith, because, people are afraid that, well, you're just trying to bring the Bible into the schools. We're not trying to bring the Bibles into schools. And I think that they need to realize that this is multiple people,
I took a picture of this, and I encourage everybody, I get all excited when I'm here. The minute I get in my car and I get home and I gotta clean my garage and do other things, I forget. So this has to be in when? Before Thursday?
The meeting is on Thursday.
Okay.
So I
can't make the meeting. I went to the last one.
Yeah.
But please go if you can. And I'll send in some, and I think Nikki and Tom would appreciate encouraging, we have your back.
Yes.
Because it's a mess up there.
So the meeting is on Thursday. I believe it starts at 9:30. Public comment starts at 1. It's unknown right now whether the vote will take place before the public commentary or after. It'll probably take place before. So that's why I really recommend emailing them, flood their emails, because I'm sure they're gonna get both sides as far as that goes, but we really need to make sure that they know the people, the citizens of Michigan do not want this. Yes.
So, I'm assuming it's a boy using a girl's bathroom. Do the girls say anything? Are there any complaints from the girls?
So she wanted to know if she's assuming that's a boy using the girls' bathroom and if there's any complaints from the girls. This was a boy using the girls' bathroom this time. She ignored it and just left it. She wants to just leave it alone. But I have heard of girls using the boys' bathroom. It's unfortunate, and unfortunately the kids are afraid to say something because they're afraid of retaliation from administrators, from other students, from teachers. So unfortunately it doesn't really go much further.